on showing off his bees.
Oh, she'll probably want to reach in the screen and get them.
Send me a couple of them. I'll take a few.
Well, these are all sold. I've got some out in my yard right now, mating nukes I haven't caught yet.
Oh, man.
Well, people don't understand, but I have to run several yards. These here come from a different yard. This is basically a learning yard. So I do the mini nukes, I do the 5-frame, and I do the 8-frame. We do some honey. We have to try to teach it all. So,
Hey, Don, before we get going here, man, you're going to have to build a fence. We got to get you a privacy fence, buddy.
well, I'm got a fella working on barbed wire. It looks like Constantine wire. And we're putting a farm gate across my driveway. And we're going to put, it looks just like what Zippy Market says. It's a monitor with 18 screens. And it has 2 terabytes where you don't have to clean it off.
Oh, man.
It's going to be some security, but it's going to probably take another week to get it. And the man was nice enough to actually sell it to me at his cost. He's donating his installation. And, pardon me?
If I was there, I would so install that for free just for some swapping and some training, man. I would love. I wish I was closer to you. I'd fix you up on that deal.
Well, a lot of people said they're going to do something, and sometimes they don't pan through. But I want to thank all the people who sent donations. And I'm going to walk out in my carport in a minute, and I'm going to show you. I brought packages up to try to build back, but it takes longer to build or put the equipment together than it does for me to get bees. We shook out 200 packages in about 4 hours. So numbers is not a problem. It's just, if somebody was to come and say, I can't afford it, I'd give them a couple of hives. But they put me in a position that if I catch them, I'll shoot. And right now I'm not getting much sleep. I spent 3 nights in my bee yard with my pistol. And
Yeah, that's your livelihood, you know?
yes, I mean, I don't mind giving information away. I don't mind giving you something, but don't come and take it. All right, I'm going to try to walk outside slow so you can get an idea of what packages look like right off the truck. Uh-oh. Is this supposed to go ding when you unplug your power? Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah, you should be okay. You're still running.
Okay. Gotta walk slow here so I don't fall. I'm an old man. And now this carport, normally we have usually 200 to 700 packages at one time. I'm in my garage, I'm heading.
Uh-oh. I think you just stepped out of Wi-Fi zone.
Now, you can see down, right down there's the rows of packages.
There we go.
For people that don't know or hasn't seen, if you see they look like pyramids. We stack them in pyramids of 10. That way we can look across the yard. If we got 20 stacks or 30 stacks, we count them by tens. And then here's what I came in on. Here's my truck, my trailer. And now here's the yard out here. Those are my totes. I think there's 6 there in the front yard. I've got some more sitting out there. There's one of my trucks. You got cars, trucks, everything. And then see, I've got another truck over here. There's one truck, that's the truck I use at my home yard for feeding. 330 gallons, and my son's got one in his truck. So that's 600 gallons, and we'll pump that out. If there's no honey flow, we'll pump it out in a week to 10 days. But this is all that's left of 200 packages.
Are those for pickup, or are you shipping those out?
No, we're not shipping none of these. We're supposed to have one more pickup today. It's 50 packages going out. Now, a lot of these are going in nukes right here. I'll go back in the house. This is my guard dog. See, that's why he doesn't bark. He's 17 years old. He can hardly see, he can hardly hear. He's worse shape than I am. All right, back in the house.
He's probably sick of the bees stinging him.
Well, I don't know. But what I want to do is talk tonight about beekeeping as far as, I guess I do more the wrong things here, but if you're going to try and train people, I guess this is a good example. Don't take anybody to where your bee yards are. We have trouble in South Georgia because we run yards all over. You go, like the situation here is they probably knew what they was, they had some experience, and they jump in there and take what they want. The next thing was kind of brought up on Facebook is insurance. You cannot afford insurance as a commercial beekeeper. You're talking about several $1,000s a month, and it's kind of limited. And the next question was asked on Facebook. I get a lot of feedback there because people are bashful. They don't want to sit there and talk to you. But homeowners will take and pay a certain amount on bees. But once you put the word commercial, it voids it out. You don't get a dime as far as liability or anything else. Something to think about. And if you're going to get into it, best thing to do is spread your beehives in different areas. Limit your losses. I mean, right now, most people wouldn't take that kind of loss. And I've had people call me even and said, that's a big loss and don't give up. If you're going to be in this kind of business and make a living at it, you can't run a couple hundred hives. You have to get into the thousands. So we try to run 100 to maybe 125 per location. That way, if somebody comes in and rips you off, half of them even, you know, you can bounce back. And my original idea was I can't make queens fast enough. These queens was brought, I was trying to get about 250 and take packages and dump them in nukes and stuff and start splitting and building numbers again, but I probably won't get to it until tomorrow. I brought some nukes up from one of our yards over in Cairo, and those are packed. And I had a couple students here today, and they had to unload them. They're so heavy. And I made the remark, and they just looked at me like I was stupid. Those boxes were so heavy, so full, I will make 5 splits off of each nuke. So I brought 10 nukes up, and I'll have 50 nukes there. And people think, oh, you can't do that. If you listen to what I'm trying to tell you on all these chats and listen to 10%, you can make numbers faster than you could ever think of building. Now, that's another thing of taking classes. You can hear it here, you can see it on the videos, but to put your hands on it and actually do it it's a wholly different thing. And I know everybody's got their questions out there, and I hope we have some good answers, some good questions, and don't get discouraged. Bees will sting you. You know, I've got a box of bees here right now for flying around. You're going to have to get used to bees around you. And if you're going to do this, like in South Georgia, only 4 of the people down there was wearing bee suits. This is the way I was down there today. This is the way I walked in. Yeah, you're going to get stung, but you know, that's your business. I mean, you're going to, you know, you've shaken out that many bees. You got a layer of bees, probably 5 to 12 feet thickness in the air. So you're going to have bees all over you. You just got to get used to it. All right, I'm going to get out of here and let people ask questions. I know everybody's got a question.
Okay, first up, Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
Sir, real quick, I got my very first nuke, I don't know, probably about a month ago. And I did exactly what we were talking about. I was going to go ahead and crowd it. It's in a 5-frame nuke box. I was going to crowd it up, get my queen cells, and start making splits. Well, I went to one of my bee meetings, and we were going through one of their hives at somebody's house. And all of a sudden, they were about to smash a queen cell. And, of course, I'm trampling people trying to get to this queen cell. And I grab it. I take it home before they tear it up. And I take it home, and I take 3 frames out of my 5-frame and 2. And I can't hardly ever find this queen. She's really black. I don't know if there's a trick to finding queens, one. And I separate them, and I wait for the one hive to start humming really loud. And, of course, that was my queenless hive. I put my queen cell in there. They're jamming. And then in my hive that was not humming, that should have had the queen in it, it's really slow. Like I can't see any new eggs, but you know, it's really hard to see. I'm kind of in a little shade spot.
How long is the queen cell hatched?
The queen, I would say she was really the queen cell. Whenever I took it home, it was almost thin white on the bottom, like she was probably going to hatch in a day or two. And I left her for a
What
week.
was your temperature when you transported that?
Oh, probably 80.
How long was it out of the hive?
Maybe an hour.
It's possible, you know, it could have got chilled. I mean, it could have bumped it. It takes an art to cut cells out and then to move them.
Yeah.
What I used to use is a Cool Whip container.
Yeah, the queen cell is perfect. She is rocking. She's a real light colored queen. She's laying like crazy.
All right.
Feeling they're already drawing down on my starter strips I got from you, or that idea. She's already drawing them down. Everything's perfect. But now the original queen, I can't find her. She's always hard for me to find. I don't know. Like I said, if there's a better way to find them, I'm just looking at the stupid comb, and it's hard to find them for me.
Well, I mean, I get people here all the time, and I'm no bee whisperer. You know, a lot of people pick a frame up and they look directly at it. I don't. I hold it with the top bar probably at my belly button at a 22-degree angle. And when I look across, I'm pulling frames out as fast as you can move, and I spot queens. Now, there's occasion you're going to miss one. The dark ones, a queen that's just been mated, usually within 3 weeks, they're more active. They move faster. And I've had out there where you have a crack where the wax goes against the sidebar, enough bees can get through there and basically turn it from one side to the other. As fast as you can turn it, she's on the other side. So I don't know. It's something you just have to pick up. But
Okay.
make your split. Now, you probably heard me on a lot of chats, and I repeat myself a lot. All you needed, you had a queen cell there. All you needed was to put it in a 5-frame box with a frame of honey. Take an extra frame or 2 frames of bees from that parent hive, shake it into the box, leave it open. You want the field bees to run back. The newest bees that's in there, your nurse bees, that's what you need. You don't need nothing else. You don't need no brood. You don't need pollen. The cell is already sealed. It's ready to hatch. The only thing the honey is for is to feed the bees. And you basically, the way I do it, I really don't want the field bees there. I just want nurse bees. That keeps the queen in that box an extra few days. But, you know, you could talk to 50 different beekeepers and they probably make splits 50 different ways. I play numbers. I don't take any hive, 5-frame, 10-frame, and make a half split. I'll bust it up by the frame or the cell.
Okay.
Because you cannot guarantee that queen's coming back. And if you took a 10-frame and did a half and half split, you got about 3 pounds of bees that if they decide that the queen got killed and don't return, you lost some potential 25, 30 more nukes.
Okay, I got you. The one with the original queen, there are some very small larvae. Like, I mean, they're just starting to fill up the whole bottom of the cell.
Right.
How old are those?
Usually the egg will stand up when it's first laid, then it starts to lay down, then you start to notice a little milk that goes on your 4th day. But,
Yeah,
you know,
just starting to little bitty worm kind of curve.
the curves,
Yeah.
once they start making a C, then they're getting too old. They're probably around in about 7 to 10 days in that area, worker bees.
Okay, so she might not be in that hive. I can't find the hive. It's not booming as good as the new hive is. I don't know what's going on with it. It's funky.
You might just be anxious. You're like a new mother. You're pacing the floor.
I promise you I am. I can't hardly keep my hands off of it.
You need more hives.
Yes, sir. All right, I appreciate y'all. Let some other people ask questions.
Next up is Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I tell you, hey Don, how you doing?
Okay.
I tell you, I use the black plastic cell foundation.
Okay.
And I can't see that good, but now that I switched over to the black foundation, I can see every little egg. You know, it's amazing what a difference it makes, in my opinion. But
Well, why do you need to see the eggs every time?
no, you don't. But I really would like to see what's going on in the hive. And everybody talks about, yeah, you can see eggs.
Well,
Well,
here's what I say. Most beekeepers got tinkeritis if they got less than 10 hives. The easiest way, if you want to see the queens laying, is put your back facing the sun and look at the center of the frame. Look for white milk. That tells you got a queen in there, she's laying. That's the fastest way. 10 seconds, bang, done. But now, when I'm doing nukes here, and I do them at my other yard, I open the box up and I show you frame by frame, eggs, larvas, cat brood, honey. I show you everything. And I point the queen out. And I'm going to ask you, do you like that box, or do you don't like the color of the queen? Or if the frames don't suit you, I'll get another one. But when you hit the road, they're your bees, not Walmart, no refunds, no returns. For the simple reason is 30-some years ago, too many people buy nukes, new beekeepers, put their full bee suit on, they're ready for war. They get out there the next day and they just rummage through that thing, frames this way, frames that way, dropping frames. You know, they just, I call it tinkeritis. Leave it alone.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Okay. Anthony, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of things. You know, when I first started, I was probably one of the worst ones. I couldn't find a queen to save my life. No matter, I just couldn't do it. And then I started getting a little better. And then it was like an epiphany. All of a sudden, one day it came to me. And it really comes down to experience, I think. You know, once you get experience, you got to know where to look and what to look for. Now, since it came to me what to look for, I don't have any trouble finding the queen. I can find the queen like every time I'm in the box if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I think eventually it'll come to everybody. It's experience and knowing where to look. And she's got a bigger bald spot on her thorax. There's usually a circle of bees around her, and they're all facing her. And almost always, I find the queen when I find those 1 or 2 frames that have either you can see the eggs or open larvae. If there's larvae and eggs, that's most likely the frame I'm going to find her on, one of those. It's been my experience. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Shit. Forgot now. All right, let me come back because I was going to say 2 things and
I get everybody flustered. That's why we have silence and bashfulness. We need to talk and get, you know, this is just a job and we need to get more proficient at it.
What the hell was it? I don't know. Yeah, all right, E, call on someone else. I'll raise my hand again when I remember what it was.
All right. Let's see. Pat is up next. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Good night. How are y'all? One thing that helps me for finding the queen is it's usually in the middle of it doesn't matter if your bees are all off to one side or in the center of the box. The queen's usually in the middle 1 or 2 frames in that group of frames in the box. And if generally I find out that she's underneath other bees, they'll get on top of her, try and hide her. So if I see a little cluster of bees, if you hold the frame kind of close and give it a hard puff of air, they'll move away. And it's not because of bad breath, it's because of the carbon dioxide in your breath. And so you can see underneath of what's going on easier that way. But as long as you see eggs, you don't have to see the queen every time. And new beekeepers, pay the $7 if that's what somebody's going to charge you to mark the queen before you take her home. It helps you to train your eye as to what you're looking at. And once you've got your eye so that you can pick up eggs easy and you can find the queens easy, then you don't have to worry about marking them so much. But first of all, I don't think you should have to pay to get them marked, but a lot of people do charge. But just, you know, pay it. And if you can't find it, get somebody in your bee club to come over that marks them all the time. Somebody that knows what they're doing and mark it help you find her and mark her. And that way you'll train yourself on how to find her and what you're looking at.
Well, did you see on Facebook, my group there, where somebody had a marked queen that was outside the hive?
Yeah.
That does not stop it. And a lot of times they reject the queen. And I got, in the last 20 years, I don't want to mark them. If you want to mark, $10. And I'm just telling people, it's stupid tax. You want to do it? Because
Stupid
they're going to
tax.
call you back. When we put numbers on our mated queens, our inseminated ones, they're going to chew that off. Train
They
the
do.
eye.
They do. That's why I said get somebody that knows what they're doing to come art. Because if
You
you
don't know anybody that knows what they're doing until they get in there and destroy something. I've seen people look like a tornado went through a hive.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Bee inspectors. Yeah, we know. But it's a way to train yourself. The thing is to start training your eye for what you're looking at on the frame. And going in every other day isn't going to do that. You can look at pictures online, start seeing where the queen is on the frame. Is she in the center most of the time when people find them? But the hardest thing is the first couple of times finding them. It is hard because they all look alike at first. And you're kind of scared. There's all those bees and, you know, so much going on.
I try to train people too here when we're opening a box up, and I tell them, I can tell you the queen without even finding. When you move through them frames, the minute you pull a frame out, the queen's on, that hive's going to get noisy. So let your ears do the walking. I mean, and then you don't have to look back and forth, back and forth. If you see the signs, you go on. You see bear tracks in your front yard, there's a bear around. You don't have to see it.
Oh, and I'm supposed to tell you that Leon said to bait your barbed wire fence with beer and cigarettes.
Beer and cigarettes.
Like we do when we bait for bears, you know, you put bait on the fire. Yeah,
I got them baited out there with lead.
Well, you got to sleep eventually, Don. I know it's hard.
Well,
I know you're upset and it's hard right now, but you do have to sleep eventually.
well, I'm down. My sleep is getting lower and lower, but hopefully my security system will be in by next week. My farm gate is ordered.
Well, let me know if you want a dog. I got a good one. I got a great.
The trouble is, I got one inside and one outside. Can't see and hear, and one inside. If you don't cut its food up for it, it won't eat it. I took it with me today.
I got one that's big and hungry.
No, it was hungry. My wife has got the dog spoiled. It's a little Shih Tzu, and she takes a little Caesar food and she chops it up and then puts an ice cube in the water. So I took a little Caesar and I put the water. She didn't want to drink the water until after lunch. The food, it's still in the truck. I brought it in half an hour ago. I chopped it up. She stood there and ate every bit of it.
She's got her spoiled.
Well, I don't need no more dogs because you can't do other things because you're like children. You got to take care of them.
Yeah, somebody's got to be there. That's true.
That's the whole thing. But it's what it is.
Well, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, Sheila, you are up next. Go ahead.
First, I want to say go Cavs. I want them to win tonight. Second is, when I was in my one box, I found 4 queen cups. So that's telling me that my hive wants to swarm, correct?
Well, now, most people, there's a base of a queen cell and then there's an actual queen cell.
Okay.
And the ones that I call are false cells, they're usually no more than a 1/4 inch high and they're not fully developed. And when they're not coming straight out, they're kind of beveled inward. It's like they're starting to close it too short. If you got one that's a little longer, look into it. If it's got the milk in it or a larva, then you've got a queen cell. But if you don't have queen cells, the first thing to watch for is drone cells. They start making drones before you start doing the queens.
Okay. Can I ask another question?
You can ask all you want. You're here to teach you.
Okay. If I am going to make a split, do I just need 1 frame of brood or I need 2 frames of brood? And can I take them from 2 different hives?
Well, you got like a 3-part question there. But the thing is, when we build out our nukes, we might put 1 frame from one hive, 1 from another, and 1 from another. Okay. Now, you said you had queen cells. Best thing to do is just use a sealed queen cell or a ripe queen cell. All you need is a frame of honey. You don't need no brood. You don't need no pollen. The queen cell is sealed. It's ready to hatch.
Okay.
Whenever you start putting brood in there and then your temperature varies, gets hot, and a lot of your field bees leave, you don't have enough bees, that brood is either going to die or if it's in cool weather, it'll chill.
Okay.
Wait till you have a sealed queen cell. Just go in every 2 weeks
Every 2 weeks, not every week, every 2
You
weeks.
don't need to go every week unless you don't see, because sometimes they hide them up on the side of the bar and it's hard to see. You got to get used to looking for them.
And then early in the season here, it's always pretty cold and damp. And can I feed pollen substitute and put it in the hive, or I need to feed that to them outside the hive?
I stopped using pollen substitute because so much pollen substitute is irradiated. You don't know the source. You don't know what it is. I just look at about a dozen hives, walk around and look. If there's pollen coming in, you got enough. And if you put pollen substitute in the hive, you're going to get beetles.
Okay, forget it. I won't do it then.
It's, unless you're trying to make a lot of brood and there's no pollen, you can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Anthony.
Yeah, I remembered what it was. Dawn, have you had occasion to try your Pro Vape yet?
My son has been using it, and he's supposed to have shot a video over there. I stayed so darn busy here. I probably didn't get 12 hours in the last week of sleep. And tomorrow, but yeah, it works good. The hand vaporizer is 100%. That thing there, he's got it down to where he's doing 2 1/4 hives a minute. It's got a quicker cool down and a quicker ignition, but you're looking at, a lot more money. But the man that actually makes them, his website, he sent me an email the other day thanking me for all the people. And I think what he's doing is giving a discount if you mention that you go on the chats, you're a student. He's trying to take care of it. He's building up pretty fast.
Yeah, I did get one from him. And I just tried mine earlier this week. And yeah, I do really like it. I did make a video of it, but I didn't like the way it came out, so I didn't want to publish it. But yeah, it works very well, very fast. My Teflon cups fit very tight. If you push that Teflon cup all the way down inside there, boy, you're going to really wrestle to get that thing out. So I just hold the cup down to the O-ring with my hand.
No, don't do that.
Upside down. No, I got a glove on.
The best way to do that there, what we found, now, if you're going to order one, what I've already learned on this here, it comes in 2 of those cups. Order you about 4 cups or 5 cups. Now, when you go to that ProVap now, you have somebody go out there and help, and they load the caps. You turn it upside down with your glove on, and you push down on it, turn it over, and do it. And then if you got a student or another person helping you, that unit is good to run several hundred hours or several hundred hives in a short period of time. It's got a lot of good points about it, but for someone who's just got 2 or 3 hives, that's a mighty steep investment.
Yeah, it definitely is. But and it's really for somebody like you, a commercial guy that's got a lot to do. It's must really be good because you can go so fast,
Well, the thing that we found, or Stephen has found right now, that the leather glove is a must because you're working pretty fast. And instead of trying to push those cups on, he turns them upside down and has the acid put in there. So he's doing 2. But he said if he had 4 or 6, he could just go down the line a whole lot faster. It's something to think about.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Yeah. Okay, but you guys haven't tried the heating pad yet.
We haven't. It's still in the box. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
I've been so busy, and with this theft and that right now, I try to build back inventory.
Yeah, I understand that's a low priority right now, and I don't see that one going anywhere. Who the hell
The
can
only
afford
drawback would be
2.5 hours?
the time factor.
Yeah, who can afford 2.5 hours to treat a hive?
And the thing about it is you need, like in our yards, sometimes we're a mile from power. So if you don't have a small generator and then sit there and run that sucker for 2 hours or 2.5 hours, it has good and bad points about it. Everything's going to have good and bad points about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Joe May, you're up next.
Yeah, the guy that put the queen cell in. How long's that queen cell been hatched?
Josh?
The thing with Josh.
It's been 7 days. I got it Saturday, and I just checked it this morning.
Okay. And she say she's already in their land?
Yes.
That's a pretty quick turnaround to get a cell hatched, her to mature, and get out and get mated. So I don't know.
Gave it to me, said that she should be hatching within the next few hours whenever I was taking it home. He said it was going to be pretty fast. She's rocking. And I'll tell you, there's a lot more bees in that box than whenever I put them in there, because I completely just did a straight 50-50 split. And there was just a couple bees coming in and out, and now they're all bearding out on the front of the box, the whole 9 yards. There's a bunch of bees in it.
I just thought maybe that's pretty tight time frame, 7 days to get all that done. And I thought you might have put the cell in with the queen, and the other box don't have a queen.
Yeah, that's what I can't find her. And it's like, I don't know if there's a queen cup in it that wasn't there before. And I don't know if I've rolled the queen or left, what happened. I don't know what's going on with the other one, but it had more frames in it, and it's weaker now than the other one. And the other one has a brand new, she's a real light colored queen, and my original queen was like a real black tiger stripe.
I don't know. Don know more about it than I do, but it usually takes about 10 days. By the time you put a queen cell in, they come back alone.
Everything weather related, everything varies. But what I would make a comment when you said you stopped that person from scraping off that cell.
Yeah.
I did a bee club, and we had an out field day, and there was a pretty well experienced person. He pulled a frame up, and before I could even say nothing, he took his hive tool. These was ripe queen cells. He raked off 15, and I said, back up, you just dropped $1,000, and everybody's looking at the ground. And I had to explain to him. I mean, make use of the natural cells the best you can get.
Yeah, they build them better than we do.
Yep.
I agree with you.
Okay. All right, over to Sally. Go ahead, Sally.
Hey guys,
Hey.
I have a question. We checked our hives today. It's a 10 frame brood box, and one of the frames was from top to bottom a drone comb. Now we did find cap brood in there and eggs and stuff. So what should we do with that, or do you know what's going on?
Well, you could do two things. If you got a frame that's mostly all brood, you can freeze it and use it for mite control, or keep a close eye on it. More than likely, there's going to be some queen cells pretty quick. Or
Okay.
maybe your queen's failing. Look at your comb. What color is it? Is it dark? Is it a chocolate color? Or is it a black?
No, it's actually comb that they drew out from starter strip.
Okay, if it's drawn that quick, you got a queen that's failing.
Okay.
What I would say is, when they're drawing it that fast, are you using spacers, or do you have 10 frames in a 10 frame box?
We have a 10 frames in a 10 frame box.
All right. A lot of times people try to put 9 frames in a 10 frame box.
Okay. No, we don't do that.
Don't do that, yeah. But now, are you working the hive, or your husband working the hive?
Well, I watch and
Yeah.
he does the work.
Get something you can handle. 8 frames is going to be a lot better.
Okay.
If you're not thinking down the road about selling bees, a good option would be do all 8s, mediums.
Okay.
I have found, and people will run their eyebrows up and down, whatever. I did nothing but, I grew up on 10 frame. I used to live in Ohio. I run 10 frames deeps, 7 high. That's why I got a bad back. And when I moved South Georgia, and they told me, oh, 8 frame is going to do better, I had to set a yard up and try it. It'll outproduce it. And on a 10 frame, if anybody tells you the truth, they have to take those outside frames and reverse them into the middle to get them to draw them out right. So the bees are basically telling you something. Then when I start going to 5 frame, that 5 frame will actually outproduce the 8 frame. It's because bees like to build vertically more than they do horizontally.
Right. And we have built our apiary we have 2 frame nukes, 3 frame nukes, and 5 frame nukes, and only 5 or 6 10 frame brood boxes. So,
Okay.
we have went down in size. But what we'd want to do is build the bees quickly, then put them in a nuke box, a 5-frame, and go from there.
One thing I'll say is there's a lot of people that I've run across in the last 5-6 months. They come with a predetermined thing. I'm only going to do deeps. I ain't messing with mediums. But you know, there's a lot of people going to drive up your driveway. They have a disability or they can't lift weight and they want mediums. And the price for mediums is the same as it is deeps. And then if you're going to say, I'm doing nothing but mediums, there is commercial people that come here that buy nukes. And you think, well, that's stupid. If they're a pollinator, they don't have time to make bees. If they're doing large pollination, they have workers that are migratory. They come in, they want gentle bees. So they buy your stock to try to populate their stock. So don't think that you don't have an option there. Think down the road ahead.
Okay, and I did forget to tell you, that was the drone comb. That queen is a swarm we caught last year. And of course, we didn't know how old she was, you know, so she could be maybe 2 or 3 years old. Who knows?
Not necessarily. You know the old term, you're henpicked?
Yeah.
Look at your queen. A young queen has got a lot of hair on her abdomen and on top.
Oh, okay.
When they look bald, they're usually older.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Chris, you're up next. Go ahead.
All right, thanks. Good to see all you guys today. I'm down here in South Louisiana. It's been in the 90s. I've been bush hogging all day, so I can't even think of a question at this point. But I did have hopefully give everybody a good laugh. I was in a little discussion down on your Facebook page earlier, and you're talking about bee stings and what to treat them with. And I mentioned your video on plantain, and they had people wanting to rub bananas on their bee stings. So I had to explain what a plantain was and referring to your video. That no, not plantain the banana, plantain the plant. That wouldn't turn out too well rubbing bananas on your bee stings. But anyway, that's all I've got for now. The bees are doing well. I built another 12 boxes this week, and
Got to keep building. Right now, we're in prime swarm season, and there is a lot of swarms coming in.
Yeah, yeah. I caught one.
I'm talking about swarms now. All swarms have more than one queen, so don't think that a swarm has just one queen.
You know, that's what someone mentioned to me. I posted a video. I caught a swarm. This is about a month ago now. I just had put the video up, but they were on 3 branches, but they were interconnected. It was one clump of bees, but the branches were kind of interwoven. And so you may have had 3 queens in there. And I didn't even think to look for 3 queens. It was just one big clump of bees. But they're doing great. They're real great. They're good bees. They're gentle. I haven't even smoked them yet. Actually, I've checked on them a few times. But that's a good point.
That's the good thing about a chat is we bring up a subject and we can elaborate on it and that. So there's no set way in this beekeeping. You know, you're going to have to adapt. But I have never yet found a swarm that was hanging in a tree or flew over that had one queen.
Yeah.
Even in the fall, they'll have at least 2 or 3. Nature's way of reproducing, and if a queen goes out and gets gotten by a predator, that's why nature does that. I have had students here, and we videotaped as many as 30 queens in a swarm.
Wow.
I don't like to drop a bundle of bees or shake a branch into a box. If I do that, I'll have another box on the ground, and then once they're in the box, I let them sit for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I dump that box out in front of the other box, and as soon as those bees start to march in, I start moving it back 6 inches at a time. Instead of having a trail 5, 6 inches wide, it starts to narrow down to 1 to 2 inches. And then if you keep moving it back half a dozen times, you can spot the queens a lot easier than dumping them in a box.
Yeah. After I gotten them in my box, I took the frames out one by one until I found the queen. I actually put her in a little cage, but I didn't think to keep looking for another one. I was happy to find the one, and I closed it up and took it to the house.
When you have a swarm, though, I don't think I would recommend caging a queen.
Yeah,
I would let them walk in and leave them.
yeah, okay. I didn't want her to fly out once I got her home. You know, it was more just to keep her in there for a couple days and let them settle in than anything else. But good deal.
Okay. Robbie, you're up next. Go ahead. No, hold on. I can't unmute you. Hang on. Try it on your end because I can't do it. There you go. You got it, Robbie?
Done. All right.
Speak up. I can barely hear you.
I live in Maryland. It has been wet for about 7 days, off and on. Been in 90s on Tuesday. I was in my hive. I have one honey frame. Now that one frame is getting pretty heavy. Have a couple other frames, have a little bit of honey, and the rest is empty frames. It's in the nuke box. It's gonna be getting nice on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now in the 50s and 60s during daytime. When is it safe for me to check the hive to see the progress?
If the temperature is above 55, 60 degrees, I mean, you can check them. But right now, I don't know where you're at, but from what you're describing is you might not be in a honey flow. If there's not enough honey flow, you're not going to draw them frames out like you should. You might have to feed. Areas of honey vary from, you know, anywhere from 5 miles, 10 miles. One could be starving, the other one be making excess honey.
It has been raining real heavy for about 7 days.
If it's raining now, they're not going to draw it out. They're consuming more than they're used to be able to store it. Does that answer your question for you?
My question is when, so I can go to hive after it's done raining, huh? Or if it is raining, just light rain, right?
Well, I mean, beekeepers are defined by many ways. I sell bees. If it's raining, I shake bees or I catch bees. The only time my wife will come out and get me is if it's lightning, because she knows I'm crazy. I'll stay out and keep catching bees. I catch bees, I shake bees. A fella come down here from Ohio, and he got stung in the eye a couple of times because he used to using a veil, and he's not used to working slow or like what I'm doing. And once you get nailed, you're going to get nailed all day. And I was showing him how to put a box on. Most people sit the box and slide it. Once you squash one bee and you get that juice on your hands or your fingers, you're marked for all day. So I try to put one corner and pivot back and forth like you're brushing them. That way you eliminate those scorched bees.
Okay. All set, Robbie?
I guess I can, my question was, can I go in the hive if it's like light rain, huh?
Well, yeah. I go in there if it's raining. I don't wear a bee suit. I mean, I've run across people in perfect weather. They'll have a full bee suit on. You know, we had a couple of people stop by and visiting down there and watch what we was doing. 94 degrees with a full bee suit on. They stood there for 10 minutes and walked to the car to cool off. Don't make no sense.
Okay.
Okay. Over to Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, Don, you mentioned something about people putting 9 frames in a 10-frame nuke. Am I able just to run 3 frames in a 5-frame nuke so they cram pack faster and put queen cells on faster?
They ain't going to cram back. They ain't going to cram any faster. If you put 3 frames in a 5-frame box, and it happens here very often because I'm pulling a frame and moving it to another box and I forget to go back. They're going to draw comb right from your feeder down or your lid. Then you pick your lid up, you have comb hanging on that.
Awesome. Next, I know you had a Facebook page. Is it just Don the Fat Bee Man?
Fat Bee Man Group.
Fat Bee Man Group. I'll get on that Get off of here. Thanks, Don. That's all I got, man. If I don't get to see you, say nothing again. I hate your bad luck with the bees, man. I hope you hurry and get recovered. That's
Well, it's just in the last 2 weeks, my son, his boy is in the hospital with open heart surgery, and then they had to go back and redo it. So he's been up there, and my wife's gone. So I'm here trying to run the show here by myself, and it's tough when everything's gone on at one time. But you just got to make do.
I hear you, man. Good night, Don.
Night.
Tom, you're up next.
Hey, Don, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good.
Good, good. I was in one of my nukes today. I did a split because I had one box that had comb running all through it, all over the place. Ended up pulling that off, made sure the queen wasn't in there, and they've now got a bunch of queen cells. The problem is they've got the cells on the bottom bar, like directly on the bar.
Yeah.
There's no way to split those, is there?
Yeah.
Right?
It's practice. Everything in beekeeping and queens is practice. If they're attached to the bar, like if the comb is down low and they're attached a little bit to the bar, what I usually do is turn it over where I can get my knife and I score it. Like you're scoring, glass or something. Just make a couple lines across it, and then from the back side, wiggle it back and forth outward. It'll crack it right at that score mark. You could do the same thing on the bottom.
Okay.
Sometimes it works. You watch me cut queen cells.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you get twins or triplets together, if you're good, you can split them and save them. But sometimes you can't. It's practice, a lot of practice. Keep practicing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Back to Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, Don, I missed the first few minutes of the chat. I was putting up my tractor, but anyway, you may have discussed this, but if you're looking, I don't know if you were looking at putting any cameras up on your yard, but they make one, and we've actually carried them at my work, that they send pictures immediately to your cell phone. And my boss put the first one on his hunting property, and it's 30 minutes away, and he was able to get a picture of people trespassing, get over there, confront them, and kick them off. And within just that few little bit of minutes. So I don't know if you had looked into that or not, but it's worked out really well for him. And we've had a lot of people with similar experience.
The thing about your trail cameras in that situation is, first is I don't carry a cell phone. I don't text. The system that I'm looking at is a really good one. It has 18 panels on a monitor. It'll go 24 hours a day. It's got like 2 terabytes memory. It also it sets alarm off in the house that you can't hear outside, and it has motion detectors. Everything is all waterproof and secure. There'll probably be, I guess, 10, 12, 15 cameras, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about it. I'm having it done. And
well, that sounds like a great system. I'm sorry if I missed that earlier, and y'all had talked about that already.
He says the system's probably $800-900. He's selling to me at his cost. He's donating the installation. In fact, another fellow's donating some barbed wire, which is like Constantine wire. He said, I'm giving that to you, and if you can't put up, I'll come and hang it for you.
Yeah.
The outpouring has been great. I mean, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it may be something that the cell option may be something that would be great for an out yard for somebody or whatever, but it sounds like you've got it all wrapped up. I'm glad to hear that.
I lost enough, I figure, in just one time to buy 25 or 30 systems.
Yeah. It hurts. I had some stuff stolen from my home, and that was the deciding one for me to put up a security system.
Well, you can't get disgusted. I've had people that ask, and I've had news media here and ask about it. In all the years that I've been a commercial beekeeper since the early 70s, on this property, it's probably been 3 occasions, but most of the time it's one hive or maybe a nuke or 2. Out yards, sometimes 4 or 5 boxes. During the bad times when sugar went high, those people, you could always tell. You'd find the supers a couple 100 yards and scattered all about where they got their butt ate up and they just dropped everything and run. But if you're going to be in beekeeping, unless you got everything at your house, you're going to lose bees. And if you take your good friend over there, it's like handing them your wallet and say, don't look.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I hope that system really helps you out, and I'm real sorry to hear about your loss on those, and also be praying for your son and his little boy as well.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, over to Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, is my phone working?
It is.
I'll take it.
All right, good. I got a success story, Don. I've been doing this about 5 years now, and I decided to split this year. And I had a double deeps 8-frame, and I split that, and they were perfect. All the frames they were perfect, and I ended up with 5 mating nukes and 2 regular nukes out of that one hive, and they seemed to have all taken. But it was a success story, and I just wanted to tell you that I finally got up the nerve to do it. I'd been putting it off as a new beekeeper will, afraid they're going to screw something up, and everything seems to work great. But I just wanted to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. What I tell you, does it work then? I mean, that's the thing right there.
Oh yeah, it worked great.
It's not a paid endorsement.
And another thing, somebody ought to come up with for your loss. I'd call it a Jenga hive, just a nuke that you have. If you don't pick it up the right way, the whole nuke just falls apart in your hands. And you did put 1,000 bees in the.
I probably shouldn't say on this here, but in South Georgia, anybody who's been in service knows what a shotgun shell and a mousetrap's for.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That's all I've got. Thanks, Don.
Okay.
No more hands up. We got a couple minutes yet, though. Anybody's got any questions? Nothing from Amir?
Certainly, I didn't bore everybody that fast.
Let's see. How can I get over here?
You got a list?
Hold on, fellas. Turn your TV down for a minute.
All right, we'll do Anthony next. Go ahead, Anthony.
No, I was just going to say regarding cameras, Dawn, once you get this system installed, you're going to really like it. I have 5 cameras at my house now, and we're going to put 3 or 4 more in just to cover the rest of the property. And you can access it from anywhere.
I'm not high tech though, and remember, I don't carry a cell phone.
Yeah, I know.
I use my son's phone to go down and get bees because in case of breakdown, I got an old flip phone that my daughter gave me. And I said, people are going to text me. I'm not going to answer them. And he says, getting the high tech situation. He said, you live in a caveman area. So he showed me when someone texts you, there's a little microphone there. You push that button there and you talk slow and it just translates for you. And I said, well, I'm still not going to carry a cell phone.
Yeah. But if something does happen, it's very easy to look back and see what happened. I posted a thing here. We had a 6-foot cobra come out of my bushes onto my patio. My wife and I weren't home, but my maid saw it out the kitchen window. And when we came home, she told us about the big snake. And, I just went to the camera and played it back. And sure enough, there it came out, so that was for that issue. But, you'd be very easy to look back and see what happened. And who
Well, the
was there.
nice part about this thing is what he explained to me is it's not a cheap outfit that you have to clean the SD card, I guess he called it. This unit here, you could run it for a year, and it's got so much memory that you could store a year without having to do anything. And he's kind enough, he said he'll come back and check it every so often for me.
Yeah. Well, you'll be happy with it once it's
It's great when people donate stuff like that to you.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Well, I hope you have a better week next week.
I'm hoping. Can't get worse.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
All right, my buddy Brad down the street here, he's got a question for you. Go ahead, Brad.
All right, am I live?
You are.
All right.
I hope you're alive.
Point. So Don, second year beekeeper. So I had 100% mortality over last winter. Just picked up 2 nukes about a week ago, and I've got them installed. They seem to be doing quite well. The good thing this year is I've got a lot of drawn comb already, and also it doesn't seem to be an absolute monsoon, whereas last year it rained every other day.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to my bee mentor, who happens to be, he says he does splits, or he's willing to do splits in the first year of a nuke, being a 10-frame box. I'm basically weighing the pros and cons between splitting a first-year nuke once they're in a 10-frame hive. Basically, the pros and cons versus, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot for the overwinter survivorship for those 2 hives, but I would also like to increase my hive count. So some background, I'm up here in upstate New York, where it's pretty cold through the wintertime. We're just now getting into late summer kind of conditions. So, thoughts from you on splitting a first-year nuke, and also basically bonus question, going with a queen cell, which is more economical, versus an actual mated queen. So, any thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of misleading information out there. I have Wade is on this chat here every so often. Now, he's a preacher in the next town, and people say you can't take honey the first year. He bought 30 packages from me. He made an average of 3 to 5 gallons per hive. Then he split those hives about 4 times. So don't say you can't do anything. So,
well, all beekeeping is local, and you're in Georgia, and I'm in upstate New York, so there's a little bit of difference there.
And the fellow from Fairbanks that I talked to a few weeks ago was telling me my principals seem to work there too. So I talk to people, and people chat with me from everywhere. It might be local to a point, but the main thing where bees are dying is people with their moisture. Too much moisture in the hive, or they're too low to the ground, or they're doing something wrong. Bees are survivors, believe me, no matter where you're at. In fact, I talked to a lady in Colorado last night, and she said just the things that I was telling her was contrary to what she's been taught over there. And as far as splitting, you got to make your mind up. Do you want to make numbers? And if you have high numbers and you lost half of them, you're still way ahead. And you don't need a honey flow. If there's no honey flow, you can create a honey flow by feeding. You can put artificial pollen there. You basically can make bees anytime until the weather gets too cold. The mating would be the only problem you'd have.
Gotcha.
There's too many naysayers out there. The best advice I would get to you is what I've done myself. People tell you can't do this, you can't do that. Do it, experiment. There's 3 people in that bee yard put you out of business really fast. Wouldn't, couldn't, and can't.
Gotcha. Okay.
Answer your question, hopefully.
Yeah, it's good enough.
All right. Amir, go ahead. Oh, hold on. You're still muted. Okay, there you go.
There I am. No, I'm visiting a friend. I'm not at my normal location, and with some family over, and I didn't want to chime in too early and get a lot of background noise. First of all, my condolences about your loss, and my thoughts and prayers to your son and your grandchild. We've been having a lot of rain. I think I might be close to the young man named Robbie. I haven't got bees yet. Do you still have packages?
Well, you're going to drive and get them?
Yeah, I was going. I don't know if I was going to drive and get them. I saw someone post where she ordered package through FedEx, and they were mostly dead.
Right.
And I saw where you commented. You said I don't use FedEx, so I didn't know whether you use the USPS or.
I use the government post office for the simple reason is if they do have a problem, they will insure them and you get your money.
Right.
I sent 20 nukes to Oregon about 8 years ago, and he went them as fast as he could.
Okay.
And I thought FedEx insured them. And I put them at the office up there, signed the papers and stuff. And what happened is where he lives is like a ranch out there.
Right.
And he had a gated driveway. And whoever was delivering them must have rang the bell and he wasn't fast enough. So they set it at his mailbox.
Wow.
And they come back, they was all fried.
Wow.
10 nukes. So the man calls me up basically in tears. And I said, well, they should be insured. He took the contract there and he says, read the fine print. We do not guarantee live delivery. So he said, send them overnight air. He bought 10 nukes and he could have paid for another 10 nukes for that prayer. It was like $800 shipping.
Right.
They put them on a train. Can you believe that?
Yeah, man. You know,
It's not the supplier itself normally. It's usually the transportation people. On occasions, like I made a comment, that package wasn't right to start with.
Okay.
I could look at a package and I thought maybe it could have been mine, but she said, no, it wasn't mine.
Right.
You've got to know how to get a package ready for shipment. That's the biggest thing.
So you don't ship packages at all at this point?
Well, Wade was over here tonight. He just picked up packages to ship, and he says this is going to have to be the end of it because we are shipping in hot weather.
Right.
The post office will, if they accept them, once you put them on that counter and they give you that receipt, they're insured.
Right. Okay.
So some post offices won't accept once the temperature gets to a certain point. And right now, we're just borderline or past that point.
Okay.
Now, if you want bees, Mark is hauling bees up north. I've got people going out west. I've got people in different places. You're going to have to pay shipping one way or the other.
Right. Right. When is he scheduled to come?
From somebody, I would rather have a beekeeper, which my students are. They'll take much better care of them than putting them on a carrier.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this while I got you on. I know we're getting close to the end. Actually, what is entailed in shipping bees if you're traveling in a vehicle?
Well, I always tell people, you know, if you're in a vehicle, if you're comfortable, the bees will be comfortable. If you're hauling packages, take a new paintbrush, and just brush the hitchhikers. If you miss a few, drive down the road and crack the windows. It'll vacuum right out.
Okay. Okay.
And since you're talking that subject, it was brought up tonight when a customer come down and got a bunch of queens. If you buy any bees, any queens, never take them into a motel room. And one of my customers about 5 years ago bought 25 queens in perfect condition, called me back the next morning and said, oh, your queens is dead. And I asked him what happened. And through the process of inquiring, he took them in and set them on the dresser in the motel, which has got the hot spot for poison. That's where they poison more because of the transits come in and out.
Right.
If you are transporting bees, leave them in your car. If you're hauling a lot of packages, crack the windows down maybe a quarter of an inch or half an inch. Get the moisture out.
Okay.
Nukes, queens, put them in your vehicle. They'll be a lot safer.
Okay. All right, that's it for tonight. I just basically was listening pretty much so, but
well, you got to get your feet wet. I can't teach you until you get bees. You got to make mistakes. If you go into beekeeping and you don't make mistakes, literally you have not learned anything.
Right.
You have to know what to do and what not to do.
Okay. All right.
Get in there. It's a good hobby. You'll enjoy it.
I will. I'm working on it. Just some other things in life in general, going on. So other than that, yeah, but I'm not giving up. And like you say, there's never, you got these people to try to discourage you, talking about, oh, it's too late. And
it's never too late.
Right.
Since you jogged my memory now, if you're in a position where you can't afford bees, there is free bees out there. Just know how to get them. You can call the fire department, police department, 911. Every town's got pest control. Tell them you'll pick up the bees.
Okay.
If you've got carpenter skills, build you a box. It don't have to be cabinet grade.
Right.
I mean, a box keeps the weeds on.
I've got some boxes and frames. I just, you know, there's an area across the street from me that's like a small wooded area. Industry went in there and cut out a lot of stuff, but I talked with the guy the other day about putting some boxes over in the woods, and so you know, he said it wouldn't be a problem. So I'm investigating that. My thing is having out yards like you were talking about earlier, and not trying to get in a position where I'm just building up in my yard and having a problem with neighbors. And so I'm always considerate of that. And but I've got an 8-frame and I've got 3 5-frame nukes, and I was going to use them as bait boxes and try to just catch some bees in the woods in the area.
Sometimes you wait. You know, you can buy equipment, you can buy bees, you can buy everything. You cannot buy time.
Right.
Time is moving on.
Right.
So that's why I mentioned there's free bees to be had out there if you want to get them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Don.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right.
All right, we got time for one more question for tonight, and that is going to be Dale. Go ahead, Dale.
Hey, how you doing, Don?
Oh, pretty good.
Sorry about your loss also, Don. I just got a quick question. Y'all was talking about that oxalic acid vaporization. How long do you need to wait after you vaporize your hive before you do an inspection? Because I work 40 hours a week. I got horses, donkeys, chickens, ducks, guineas, you know, so I'm kind of pushed for time like everybody else is.
Well, I don't believe you're going to see an immediate result. If you're going to go in and check for mite drops and stuff, I'd wait 3 days minimum.
No, I mean, like, you know, could I not checking for mite drops, just doing a check on them? Because I got 28 hives. I'll check half of them this weekend, the other half next weekend, where they're all getting checked every 2 weeks. So I have to check some every weekend I'm off. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
If I vaporize them in the morning, can I do my inspection that afternoon?
Well, if you're just checking for brood, if you're checking, you're not going to be able to check for mites.
Right.
Mite drops.
But you can do your routine inspection.
Yeah. I'm in and out of my boxes. Most every box out there once a day. If they're nuke boxes, I mean, there are some of them with queen cells that are hatching every 15 minutes.
All right, that's what I need. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. And that will do it for tonight. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone. We'll see everyone in 2 weeks.
Thank you, and everybody appreciate what you sent.
Thanks,
Have a
Don.
good day.